Welcome to the Apex Insiders China GP recap show. I got Dolcetto here with me, and we're gonna go through a little recap of the weekend. Well, before we get started, Dolcetto, what's going on, man?
Hi, it's all good. It's another Monday. I'm happy that we continue to do these shows. I love the recap
Yeah,
shows.
Ye-
They're back in 2025. It's a new year. But I'm
yeah.
good. I'm good. It's a Monday evening. We had snow yesterday here in my state, so it was great.
Snow. Wow.
Yes, it's
Eh,
gonna be April here in a week. Other than that, a pretty boring race. But
Yeah,
sometimes
yeah.
boring is good for betting, though. So.
It is. Yeah, I will say it. I mean, yeah, tricky weekend, right? Like second race, a lot of overreaction from the first race. We didn't really get to see a true tell when it came to actual race. Obviously, it was raining and then dried and then it rained again in Australia, and we come into China not even like 3 days, and we're having to try to figure out what to expect. And of course, the wrench into the equation was it's the sprint weekend format. So you had FP1. Everyone had just one session, 1 hour session to get it right into sprint quali, which had the unique format, continued unique format, which is mediums, and then softs at the last round. And yeah, and then qualifying, everyone's out of Park Ferme. They can make adjustments, and then right into the race. So it's a lot of activity, just going straight from the first race into that weekend. So I mean, we kind of knew that. We expected it. I think a lot of us did. The books kind of overreacted in certain ways, while in other ways it didn't. But I think the first overreaction, or probably was Ferrari. I mean, I'm going to call that out just because I still remember seeing they had Lewis Hamilton at like 18-1, and then Leclerc was at like 6-1 on some books to start the week, and then the odds just kept dropping to like Leclerc was getting into 12-1 territory, 15-1. So there's weird movement happening. Um, but yeah, man, it's overall the weekend was or the week was hard to gauge what was happening. And um yeah, so I think it's definitely one of those things where we said be cautious. FP1, we don't know, just kind of take flyers on things. But obviously I got swept in FP1. Oh, actually no, I thought for the life of me that Borderello, Bordatello, or whatever. God, I can never get his name right. We'll call him Bort against Duhan, and the entire weekend I thought he lost to him, but I guess I just didn't see the results for it because I was out for FP1, and kind of had a surprise. I was like, oh, he actually did win. But yeah, we did know sprint qualifying there was going to be some weirdness to it with the medium tire play. So going back into FP, we said, you if you see teams not getting in the top 10 with mediums, but then they make their glory run and they're in the top 10 with softs, it's be cautious on those teams because the performance on the mediums may not get them out of Q3 or Q2. So, or Q1 and Q2. Sorry. So, yeah. Uh,
No, I agree. I feel like we still don't know what these cars are, what these teams really are. With like you mentioned, only with one FP1, uh, with the sprint weekend format. So there's still a lot of unknowns. I mean, we could kind of see certain teams and drivers what to expect from them the rest of the year. But I mean, we kind of see the kick Zaubers there, where we expected them to be on the bottom, and I don't know if it was more of a luck factor or whatnot, but I just we expected them to be just a bottom feeder team. So then we see the McLarens as expected. Oscar Piastri took it all the way through. And I don't think that he was ever at any scared point where he was worried about losing the race.
yeah.
Uh, yes, he might have. The sprint with Lewis, I was a little surprised. I was like, oh my gosh, the Ferraris! Oh my god, what's happening here?
Yeah.
And of course, the Ferraris once again caused me to lose my bets on Sunday. I didn't even know about the penalties until I woke up
Oh
midday
yeah.
through Sunday because the race was 3 in the morning here in my time zone, and I went to bed right after, and then I woke
Yeah.
up and I was like, hold up, why is this red? What's happening here? And yeah, it
Yeah.
was terrible. But I think overall as a group we did okay. Still, it was a profitable weekend. I know that Renegade he posted the recap of the actual Apex Insiders guys who give tips out there, and I think they were still up by like 4 or 5 units, I would say, if not more.
Yeah, well, it's way more. Lights Out joined us this
Oh,
weekend
so
with
he
some
did update it
beautiful.
after. I did not see
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
okay,
yeah.
yes.
Well, and also I had to make adjustments. One, I didn't have my sheets updated and everything, and yeah, I've been sleep deprived. I feel like this weekend because I've stayed up for these sessions, even though every time I said no, I'm not going to stay up, and I'm like, here I am at 3:30 in the morning, just watching the race. So, so I did make some adjustments. It might have been tweaked. It should be adjustments for the better because at first I was like, oh, yep, it's my first
That
losing
loss.
weekend. Lost like 0.15 units. Here it is finally. And I was like, oh my god, I completely missed a sprint qualifying matchup I had with Albon over Signs, and then I didn't even put my qualifying stuff in there, which was some minimal wins there, but the race turned out fine for me. I will say I want to go back to that Piastri and Lewis comment that we had. So the entire week, man, I was like, why is Piastri plus 350 while Norris is, I think, was at even money.
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
even
and
money. Yep.
it was. I was like, for how close the two cars are. Yes, I know Mech has he has his history with Piastri, but still, I was just like, okay, remove the emotions though. The car itself, like we know Piastri can keep up, if not beat Norris at points, while vice versa as well, right? You just got to take the odds. So it kind of irks me because I was just in my head. I talked myself into, you got to back Piastri this weekend. Just got to back him. I backed him for sprint qualifying and he didn't win. And then yeah, come into the qualifying, I was thinking about it, and then what do you know? His odds were dropped. Actually, even for the sprint race, I think his odds were like plus 275. When I was seeing these odds, it was like plus 350. And then going into qualifying, you weren't going to see anything better than over 3-1. Everything was plus 275, plus 250 for Piastri. And then I said, you know what? I'm not going to even touch him for qualifying. And what do you know? He freaking qualifies P1. But I then later on was like thinking about it. Maybe like when you think of this track, I think the statistic was 10 out of 17 races, whoever was in pole position won the race,
Yep,
which is a
that was
pretty
it.
good
Yep.
statistic, right?
Hmm.
And then you have a McLaren. I was like, yes, Norris can maybe try to play some trickiness, but I think one, it was nice seeing some others in the Discord kind of like already like have that play. And I was like, and just removing again emotions, I was like, this just is a smart move to take him right now, just because Norris did not have a good weekend. He was
No.
very iffy. So that was another reason why it really prompted me to say I should just be backing him, outright winner. I should just back him. Don't even think about it. Just do it. And then others in there were like, yeah, join me, join me, join me. I was like, yep, it's got to happen. So I took that. But that was just one key thing with them. Ferrari with Lewis Hamilton, and going. Let's just talk about this disqualification. Uh, Something I hinted last week in our recap show was Ferrari. The reason why they looked completely different from Friday to Saturday, I guess maybe Thursday to Friday here in the US. the biggest reason why, and they even said it, but I don't. It's weird that they didn't talk about that enough in the media, which was they raised the ride height for the car because they were afraid of what happened to get this
Well,
disqualification.
yeah,
Was
and I did read about that, like them raising it, and then I didn't
yeah,
really think anything of it at the time, but
no one talked about it, and I kept
I
banging
just
my
saw it. I was like,
hands
oh,
on
okay,
the
good
no,
news.
and that's actually surprising to me. That it's the bunch of us that kept that in our back pockets to say there might be something there. However, this is what happened. They said we need to extract performance. We need to do all these things. We need to do all. So here's what happened. They took the risk this time and they got slapped on the wrist for it. It wasn't slapped on the wrist. They got slapped in the face for it.
Yeah,
Even though I think Leclerc's was something around like the weight issue,
yeah.
but still, like that
Still,
issue was
they got
there.
double whammy. Yeah,
And this goes back to even before the season where we all were like, hey, Ferrari's got something, and Ferrari's got something. They do. But one of the biggest things and the things I kept saying in the Discord as we were just assessing Ferrari is you've got to still go with caution because they changed the suspension. They changed a little bit of the design, which changes the fundamental of the car, right? Like that's most of the teams right now are saying we're going to keep most of the same fundamental characteristics of the car that we've had like in the past year because they're going to wait until next year to start like maybe doing a drastic design. Because how many times have we seen this in F1? You make a big change, it may impact you severely in your development throughout the year. We saw this with Mercedes with the zero pod design, and look what happened with them. We're seeing something here with Ferrari. They're taking a chance, and great. But was it a smart thing to do right now? Because now you are behind a Haas in the in the constructor
I
championship.
mean,
So I'm
good for Ocon and Bierman. I mean, that's
oh yeah,
huge points
100%.
for the team. Huge.
Huge point. I
Even
mean,
even without the penalties, Ocon
they would have been. They were
was in the
10th. He
points.
was,
Yeah. No, he was
yeah,
like
he was in 10th,
seventh or eighth. I think it
or
was.
Ocon was 7th. Behrman was 10th, or
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah.
It was
Something. Yeah.
either way. They were both in top 10.
Which we did
But
not
they
expect.
but how crazy is that? You go
Yeah.
from a weekend where you look like, whoa, what is
Terrible.
happening? And Komatsu even said we are struggling. We found an area that we are really struggling with, which is high speed cornering. Which Australia has that one long straight that they were probably losing a lot of speed of in the last sector. This track kind of fit a little bit more to where they didn't have to really do a whole lot in terms of that adjustment because it was more slower speed cornering here, so it seemed to fit what they were doing, and it worked out well. So the biggest other factor in this weekend was tires. No one knew what the hell they were dealing with hards, and I think that's where it caught a lot of people off guard, even myself. When it got to the hard compound, we didn't know. Even you listen to all the drivers and the team principals. I mean, hell, even Botas said it in the pre-race show, like it's an unknown. No one knows. Like we don't. No one knows what's going on. We know what's going to happen with the mediums. We knew what was happening with the softs, but we knew they were not going to use the softs because unless there was like some yellow. But the hards, and this is something like you have to pay attention to. Like if you are going into a weekend like a sprint weekend like this, or another weekend where they're not using a specific compound, no one knows. You got to be careful because we saw what happened with the performance with a lot of these teams. Max actually was getting better as it got through middle of the race, and he stuck with the hards while Lewis was struggling on that compound. So something with the setup was not right for him, and he was losing speed, which kind of annoying because I did. I mean, that's one of the things I thought Hamilton would beat Max because Max would keep struggling, but they did find something towards the end of the race. So uh, I just think that when it comes to the betting aspect of this, you have to tread lightly. We knew that. I knew that going into this weekend. I didn't know what to expect, but I was just going to keep firing on shots, and didn't work out well for me for FP1. but as we got through to qualifying, into the actual race, it actually ended up working out. So I'm happy about that. What to expect? This is growing problem with Ferrari. Strategy still an issue. I mean, if they knew, like Stroll had the script, everyone had a script. They were all watching Stroll in that race. He started on the hards. He was the right person to watch because he was the most seasoned driver as well on the grid with that tire. And they saw like he was doing fine on a one stopper. Like most of these guys should have been preparing early into that race to say, okay, it's going to be a one stopper. We should probably protect our tires a little bit more so we can get to that. And it really screwed Hamilton. Or maybe he was the one that made the call. Someone made the call at Ferrari to say, keep going, keep pushing. And it fucked him because he had to do two stops. He tried to catch up late, it didn't work out for him. So
Yeah,
yeah,
that's one of those things is where you look at. I mean, luck comes into it as well. I mean, look
yeah.
at Yuki. Like, how unlucky for him once again. But like, was it his front wing, right? Broke down at the like towards the last 2 or 3 laps, and there
Yep.
he goes again out of the points where he should have been easily in the points again. And I think he was in seventh at that point, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, sometimes you just gotta go out there and see how other teams are doing. Like especially like you mentioned with the tires. Like I think Stroll was the only one, right? Like in the beginning of the race with those tires, right?
No, there was two others. I think
Was
was
it?
like
I thought it was only one
Hulkenberg,
driver. Yeah,
Bortoletto, or I can't remember who else.
yeah,
But yeah, there was three in the back, and we expected that there was going to be some people in the back, like in that bottom 10, that would go on the hards and extend out and then wait. But like going back to Racing Bulls, they're what they are to me, and this has been the persistent. This is why I had to ignore betting them last year for race days, or even for a weekend. They are Ferrari Junior with strategy. They are
yeah,
just,
yes,
I don't know how else to put it. They're a Ferrari Junior. They do not know. Yeah, they're just incapable of coming up with a good strategy when it comes to race days. And it worked out for guys like Williams, who should have struggled a little bit more, it's to look like. But that team, you know, I'm still kind of questioning them. Like they looked great, but at the same time, I wonder if that's also a product of some of these other teams, like a Williams, like the Aston Martin, kind of had these little nuanced struggles through the
yeah.
weekend.
The hiccups, yeah.
So
I I
I'm
mean I don't know.
still
You
on the
have
fence about them.
seen the racing bulls have been performing pretty well so
Yeah,
far through 2 race weekends. I mean, Hajar incident in Australia is it's a rookie issue, formation lap spin, but I thought that he did really good in China and he was very aggressive and wasn't he the one who was fighting with no I'm thinking of somebody else or maybe it was him with Carlos Sainz maybe it was they
think
kept going back and
I'm
forth.
trying. I was deep into some adult beverages and trying to stay awake. So my attention level was kind of waning after a while. But yeah, he
Oh
was doing fine. Hajar, I mean, we knew this too. Is rookies were going to struggle at this track. Just it's so intense on your front left tire that if you overdrive, it's just going to not be good for you. And he made a judgment call to keep going with it, even though his engineer is like, we probably should. And he's like, well, I want to. And he's like, okay, go for it. And that probably was not his right move because he ended up having to pit, I think, twice, and
yep.
then I I don't know. Like that's a team where Trend is friend. They've been like that for a while. So I can't say I would put a lot of faith in them. It's up to you if you want to back them on a race day and what they can do in terms of of creating a good strategy. But yes, essentially speaking, their car has looked good these last two races, but it's
Yeah,
still the second race. Like we haven't seen anything yet.
I
We
do have
really
to
haven't.
say though, it
So
was really entertaining to watch Hajar and Duhan like battle out there for like 5 6 laps. It was kind of cool to see these
yeah,
like mid-tier teams, and it's rookie drivers, and so hopefully that continues on, and like you said,
yeah,
it could be just the struggles of one team that makes the other team look better. So
yeah,
and then what about
yeah.
your buddy Liam Lawson? What do you think of his
Oh,
performance this weekend and
don't,
his future in the F1?
man. I keep saying I told you so.
We did
This
fade him,
guy.
and you won on the Pierre Gasly bet. Remember that?
I was like, yeah. Oh, yeah, that was kind of actually closer than I expected.
Yes, it was
Um,
on the sprint, right?
but
Yeah,
but it was one of those things where I was like, I had all the faith in the world. Like Lawson is not him. I will give him a little benefit of the doubt that the car is just really struggling just overall. We saw last year. And even Max, like that's the signal. That's the alarm signals going off to say if you have the best driver on the grid, arguably the best driver on the grid right
struggling.
now,
Yeah,
he's struggling to get into the top 3 with that car.
he's not happy with
What
that
makes
car.
what makes you think that anyone else is going to succeed in that car? And this, I was even said it in the Discord today. I was like, man, that makes me feel bad of all the slander I gave Checo last year because, yeah, well, Checo's not going to be to a max level, but he should be like a mid, you know, like one of those midfield drivers, right? Like you could plug him into a car and he should still be able to extract whatever pace he can. But that car is not doing well. So I will give Lawson a little bit of benefit of the doubt there, but he also has not looked good in many ways.
It feels like
So
confidence is not there with him. Like he just seems
confidence
like
is
okay,
gone.
18th, whatever. It's like, oh man, you're driving
Well,
one of the
yeah.
top cars, But
But I mean that probably also shows out of all the rookies, if we're talking about the rookies, Kimmy very impressive so far. He's getting by. He's doing what he needs to do. Seems to have the confidence to be able to go in. I mean, he's getting points in these race weekends, and he's needs time, obviously. But for just stepping in for a young driver the way he is, he's doing just great. Yes, he has a Mercedes, but still, like he's looking good. But the other guys are really kind of struggling to adapt. Lawson's technically not a rookie, but let's call him a rookie.
yeah,
Lawson, Hajar,
yeah,
Duhan, like we Borderello. I mean, we were saying they would struggle, but man, like that's just terrible. And then there's rumors already swirling about him being replaced with Yuki, and I was like, if I was Yuki, I'd be like, nah, I'm good. I'm
yeah.
good.
You should want to stay.
I'll stick with this.
Yeah, because
Like that's a
he's taking
death.
the best out of it. Yeah,
That's a career death trap. It seems like right now is just going to that second car. Like, yeah.
I mean,
Ricardo and Checo are laughing right now. Like, yep,
he just needs to look at okay, where was Gasly? Then
yeah,
Albon. Like why am I gonna go on that same path to just come back in 3 4 years to be back at Racing Bulls or Williams or whatever the car he ends up being at? Yeah, I would actually stay with Racing Bulls because he's getting the most out of a car that is doing pretty
yeah.
decent so far. Again, we don't know much about these cars yet because it's been only 2 rounds and lots of unknowns with shorter sessions, weather related weekends. But like you mentioned, like the Mercedes, kind of a boring car, but getting podiums, getting into
Yeah.
points, and this is all that matters. Like George Russell, again, another podium. I think he's happy being in the top 3. I'm not gonna say like yes,
Uh,
of course he wants to win, but
he wants to win, but they all know that
that
they
they're
have
not
to
there yet.
compete. Yeah,
They're
they
not
all
there.
have the McLaren is there, like at the top, and they all know that they have to in order to beat that, they need more out of the car. But himself and what he can do, yeah, for sure, he's there. He's definitely there. And it just depends on Mercedes, and it just shows you how more serious like Mercedes is as an operations, right? When it comes to strategy, when it comes to development, they are just a serious team, right? And it's like now you look over to Ferrari and like, what are you guys doing? Like, what is happening? So even you can argue with McLaren. Sometimes you argue like, what are they doing? Like they have the fastest car, but they still they still have problems figuring out how to manage both their drivers. Like that should not be a problem.
Yeah, maybe
Still,
Chuck is still underwater. Maybe I don't know.
yeah,
Who
he's
knows?
drowning.
He's still trying to get out of the water.
Yeah,
Nope. I mean, it was a good win on the sprint for Lewis. You know, he kind
yeah.
of. I feel like he got that confidence back, and it was. It
Hmm.
felt good to be on a new team, second race to be up there, and he actually looked very, very good on during the sprint. I don't know if you watched the sprint or not, but
Oh, I
it
did.
was it
Yeah, I
was
did.
it was really good. And then yeah, what now we have, what is it, Japan next in a couple weeks.
We have Japan. Yeah, it
It's
gives us a
another
nice track. I like it.
another weird weekend to being up at middle of the night for us in North America. But hopefully, was it Suzuka a couple years ago where it was the weather, it
The
was
rain. Yeah,
raining, it was stopping, going. Oh man, I hope
yeah.
it's a good. I haven't looked at the weather forecast yet, but what are you anything that you are looking up to for Japan outside of Liam Lawson getting sacked?
Well, number one, I'm definitely gonna be out of town, so I will be on a road trip camping in Big Bend National Park. So this is going to be a little tricky for me to be around to do things. I don't know how much I will have in terms of interaction, and hell, even if I definitely won't have any kind of internet for that Wednesday that I'm there, but Thursday I'm hoping that the internet it will be very good. But yeah, I think just in general, it's a track that it gives you a mix of everything. It's more high speed, a lot more high speed cornering in that one. I'm gonna probably say it's still a McLaren type of track. Like they've just kind of got that covered. I am interested to see what Ferrari does. I expect that Mercedes will still be fine here. I think there's only like really two really slow corners, like two hairpins, basically.
Yeah, I'm looking
I
at the
it goes,
results from last year. The Ferraris were 3 and 4. I mean,
yeah,
yes, 1 and 2 are Red Bulls, which I'm not expecting to see that this
yeah.
year, as we know. But the Ferraris seem like they did. I cannot remember the race for some odd reason. I can't remember. I might have to go back and rewatch highlights of it just so I
Oh
can get
yeah,
my
that's
refresher.
something I'm gonna have to do myself. Actually, I got lucky last year, if I remember. And to be quite honest, I feel like Japan hasn't been. It's been very hit or miss for me. But I remember last year there was a misprice in between. I think for qualifying that I was able to get in on where I just maxed it out for max. Actually, funny enough, but yeah, I don't know. I got to go back and obviously do some of my research and whatnot that I do to prepare. But I think it's going to be. I would not. I would still take the same approach right now. Right, like technically speaking, we usually get to Japan about 5 races. Even in the previous years, Japan used to be all the way in the fall, so a little bit different. But now we have it as the third race of the season. I don't know what the weather is going to be like, if it's going to be a little bit cooler. It should be still fine. Obviously, if rain comes around, it's going to be, all bets are off. You got to focus on Max when it gets to the wet race. But I'm still going to be focused on, McLaren. Going to be focused on where do they put Russell? As far as the back marker teams, I kind of want to say I don't know if Haas is going to be good here or not, because that comment that Komatsu made around the car struggling on high speed cornering, which this has quite a bit of that. So I wonder if that's going to impact him then this week. So maybe that's a good fade spot. I don't know. It's still something to look into. Racing Bulls have probably, them and Williams will be fighting in the middle. I will be interested to look into some of Alpine's kind of struggles this past week. So we'll see. We'll see what
I
happens.
mean, I'm
Yeah.
looking at their odds for even the top 10. Jack Duhan is rated last, like right now. So
Hmm.
so what you just said about Alpine, it's matching up with odds.
I will not touch Duhan.
Yeah, I'm
One hundred
I'm just
percent.
saying, like, he's shown
Yeah.
that he's the
I
worst
I
one.
I think when it still
Odd
comes to
based.
those rookie drivers, you still got to take them with a grain of salt. So one thing about Suzuka is this is a very traditional track even outside of F1. So if you've raced GT cars, if you that's like everyone knows, everyone that's even touched a racing sim has
Oh
definitely
yeah,
raced on this track. So they are
it's a
very
classic
familiar with
one.
it.
Yeah.
Yes, it's a great track, especially if you're a sim racer.
So
So I think there's familiarity with it. However, we still got to kind of tread lightly and just understand what these cars are. What are we up against with these cars?
so with that said, is you're saying we should unload on Yuki to win it all, 81 to 1. Is that what you're
What's
saying?
funny, what's funny was I think DraftKings, right? I checked DraftKings right when they dropped the odds on like when they were dropping the news and the odds. He was at 150 to 1 to
He's
win.
81 now,
Now he's 80.
or
He's
80,
not
whatever.
winning.
Of course, I'm just
He's
joking.
not winning this race. He won't even win a race this year. And I will stamp it. And if he wins a race, great. You can come at me with it. But with the fact that you still have two McLarens, Merc that is still
The
very, very
Ferraris,
competitive.
yeah.
The Ferraris, a Max, like
You're gonna need a
that's
wild weekend for that to happen.
crazy weekend. Yes, you're gonna need something that
All
happened
six to
like
crush
last
in the
year
first corner.
when we had Gasly and Ocon 2 and 3.
Yeah,
Like was that Brazil? I wasn't
I
there for
think
that race,
I can't
but
remember. Yeah, I know what you mean.
yeah,
Yeah. No,
yeah.
I'm looking at the race winners like right now, early odds, and you've seen clearly both Norris and Piastri are tied for first with plus 160 to win the race, and the next
Mhm.
best is Max at plus 850. So that could give you
Yeah.
an indication of what the books are expecting to happen. Total domination by the McLarens. But there's one other thing that you need to pay attention to. It's like live betting. I was
Yeah.
able to get on Oscar just as I was doing it. Like you need to always, like even earlier in like in the race, if you see how things are going, you can kind of get a sense. Yes, of course, anything can happen at any corner at any lap, but always keep an eye on, open up your apps and always live bet. I think that's always gonna be your friend.
Yeah, man. I unfortunately have lost live betting abilities this year and 100% agree. Maybe that's why I've just been ignoring it because I don't want FOMO and like being mad that I don't have that opportunity. But absolutely, 100%. That was one of my bread and butters last year, even in FP sessions, is just tracking the times if you have multi-viewer, that's a must with live betting. It's like you got to have that up at all times
Yeah,
because you want to be paying attention to sector times, and you paying attention while you're watching the live odds. You just got to have that 100%, especially live betting this year, between Lando and Piastri. And then if there's someone else right behind, you've definitely have a huge, massive opportunity to do that. So that's why sometimes, like maybe even this past weekend with Norris. I think he was like plus 200 or 2 to 1 or something like that, somewhere around there
yeah,
for the race, even though he didn't win. But guaranteed, like you would have seen, I think at one point he was in third place. His odds probably were at like 3 to 1, plus 350 even.
yeah.
That could be an opportunity as you were watching to see like, okay, he might be able to undercut, catch up to Piastri. Definitely have to take advantage of that. I do want to try to get back in, even if I can't place a live bet. I would like to get back into watching those live odds. Unfortunately, I didn't touch anything that much this weekend, but when we get to the summer circuit for sure, I'll be up in the morning and I'll be watching and just probably telling the people in the Discord what I'm seeing and what you can, look into. So
Yeah, no, that's
yeah,
good. And one last thing for Japan before we conclude this, we talked about the Mercedes, how you were super excited about Kimi being, so consistent, being his only second race in F1, and we already know George is a very good driver. Uh,
yeah.
I'm looking at the double top six. It's at plus 165 for the Mercedes to finish in top six.
It's pretty good, man.
Do you like that?
I kind of do. I was looking at that and then I was like, well, let me see what others are. I haven't checked other sites if they're posting anything, but Actually, MGM might have something. Let's see.
I'm on
But that is,
DraftKings looking at it right now. I haven't
yeah.
shop. Yeah, I will like usually shop around, open up all the sports books
I
on my
think
desktop, but
I don't think they have anything up yet for teams. Actually, maybe they do them bet 365 just so we can compare. But I think that's a pretty good number, and I'm actually very tempted on that. Uh,
and even just Kimi alone, it's at plus 125. Just the
let's see.
top six.
Yeah, they only have winning car right now for yeah, for teams they only have winning car. So I kind of do dig that. I just don't know what if they're one thing I kind of again worry about is like is that Williams or is there going to be a sneaky Yuki or a Gasly that kind of comes in and captures that spot, but um I'm not ready to jump on it, but I'm almost there. I'm almost there.
Yeah, you
So,
just don't know, what's gonna
yeah.
happen. I mean, we could shop around when the time
Yep.
comes, for
Yep.
sure. All right, I don't have anything else. I think that overall, I'm excited about the season.
Yeah.
Community bet, we won it, but after the results of what happened with the disqualifications, we lost. So we unfortunately are 0-2 on the season bets for the community bet. But overall, though, somebody did post. If
Yeah.
we bet
Yeah.
every community bet that was posted, I think for the weekend, I'm looking at it right now. You would be at where is it? Like you'll be up by a couple units right now for the season. So still, community bets are really good if you bet every single bet. But of course, we want to win the big one, which
Yeah.
unfortunately we'll get it next time around. I'm sure we are.
Actually, I did not even bet the community bet. I bet the second best community bet, which is
Which one was that?
Piastri to win.
Okay, you
But
won
yeah,
that
the
one.
overall performance, if you were to just bet every single nomination for a community bet, would be 37% ROI on that. So pretty good. Pretty good. There's some good ones that are coming out there, and we do have a tracker for it. So if you get into the Discord, you can do it. Oh yeah, and then lastly, on the pick'em side, that was very tricky. Very, very tricky. Not what we expected. I think overall for that, I was down zero point 0.4 units for the weekend. Actually didn't have any underdog plays. All my plays were grid rival and then some price picks. So I was down zero point 0.8 units on grid rival and then up zero point 0.4 units on pick'em or price picks. So yeah, should be fun. But yeah, we'll see about next weekend on how much I'll be involved. It's very possible I may not even have but like two or three plays just to have something out there. But we'll see. We'll see, man.
Yeah. All right. Well, I hope you have a fun trip camping, and
Yeah.
we'll talk again. See ya.
Yeah. Sounds good. All right. See you.